Everyone, Nate from AT Board Sports here, just doing a quick tutorial on how to replace your north depower line. This will work on pretty much any north control bar. The fifth line, the fifth element, and the quad, trust, doesn't matter, they're all pretty much the same. What you're going to need for this is probably a pair of pliers, a punch, hammer, WD-40 or some kind of penetrating oil, a rope, piece of string. You need an NLS replacement depower line, tape measure, some fabric tape, and a vise with a little bit of cloth. You're also going to want a good sharp utility knife. So we'll start with the vise. Just put a piece of fabric over top of the vise. This will prevent the parts from being scratched or even broken. So once you put it in the vise, you can kind of tighten the vise underneath it, not so that it's grabbing the actual part, but so that it's just kind of holding it up so we can use the punch. Something to note here is that if you have one of these bars, it's good to keep some lubricant or something on this part here, because it does get corroded and clogged up with salt. So you can use a WD-40, or even just taking it apart once in a while and cleaning it out is a good idea. While you're doing this, it's also a good idea to lubricate the swivel. Those often get clogged up and corroded as well. So once you've put some kind of penetrating oil or whatever on there, you can use the punch to try and get that part out of there. If it's been sitting for quite a while without being taken apart, this can be very, very hard to do. You may have to leave some penetrating oil on it for quite a while. In this case, this one was in pretty good shape, so it didn't take too much. Once it's out a little bit, you can take a flathead screwdriver and just carefully pry that U part out of there. You want to be very careful not to damage the rest of the components here, because they can break very easily. And once that's out, that's pretty much the hardest part of this whole depower line replacement. All the north bars are a little bit different, but for a few years they use this style. Once you've done that, you can pull the two pieces apart, and you can see where the depower line runs underneath this plastic piece. And we're just going to put this off to the side for now and start taking apart the rest of the line. So we'll start at the handle. You want to pull the line out from the handle. There's a little bit of a knot just inside the handle. You pull that out, and you'll need to remove this knot from the line so that you can pull it out of the handle. And once that knot's been removed, you just pull the line straight out of the handle. And then you can just set that handle aside until we need it later on. Next, we're going to take that line and push it up through the top of the cleat. And from there, you're going to take it and pull it out of the pulley. You want to make sure that the other lines don't get tangled up around this pulley, and that everything kind of stays in a safe spot while you're doing this. Pull the line down through the other side of the cleat now. You'll notice a little kind of pigtail handle here. You'll want to slide that off and put that aside, probably with your handle, until we need it later on. And once that's done, you're going to pull the line out through the bottom of the cleat, just above where the start of the line attaches, and then take the line and pull it down through the stopper ball. And from there, you can take the one side of the line and pull it down through the actual bar. And once it's down through the bar, you're going to pull it out of the plastic piece that attaches to the top of the chicken loop. And then you can pull the rest of the line up through the control bar. Now pull the remaining piece of the line through the stopper ball. You'll see now all that's left is just the depower line connected to the bottom of the cleat. So you're just going to undo that loop that attaches the depower line to the cleat. Now we'll start the process of putting the new depower line on. You'll slide the loop through the bottom of the cleat. It's a little bit tough to get through at first. Once that's through, you'll take the end of the line and pass it through the loop on the cleat and pull that as tight as you can. The tighter you're able to get that, the easier it'll be to feed the other end of the line through the bottom of the cleat later on. Now we'll reverse the process and we'll take the bottom of the line and feed it through the stopper ball. And from there we're going to take the line down to the bar and feed it through the center of the control bar. After that, through the top of the plastic piece. And you want to push it down, giving yourself enough slack so that you can feed it back up and still have enough line to make it all the way back up to the cleat. And when you're feeding it through, you'll notice that there's a bit of a notch in the plastic here. The tendency is to pull that really tight, but it doesn't work very well. It's actually better to kind of leave it a little bit loose. If you leave it tight, it's too hard to actually push that plastic piece down into the top of the top of that chicken loop connection. So you leave it kind of loose, keep it pressed up against the sides. That also gives you a little bit of room for that safety line to move for now. It will pull tight eventually, but for now it'll make things a little bit easier for you. So you'll take the other end of the line, feed it up through the control bar. Then we'll take the line up, feed it through the bottom of the stopper ball now, opposite to how we took it out. Now we'll take the line and feed it up through the bottom of the cleat, just above the loop at the start of the line. And if you pulled that loop fairly tight, it should go through really easily. So we'll take that little handle connector piece, slide it onto the line here before we go any further. And once that's on, we can take the end of the line and slide it up through the top of the cleat. Now you can kind of see what the purpose is of that handle. It allows you to make adjustments and pull that line out of the cleat. So we'll take the end of the line and we're going to run it up now through the pulley. If you do have the safety line running through the pulley, you want to make sure that that depower line goes underneath the red safety line. And once you've done that, you're going to take the line down through the other side at the top of the cleat. So now we'll take the handle and we have to slide the end of the depower line through the bottom of the handle. Now, this can be a little bit tricky. You may need to use something to help you get it through, maybe a piece of rope. Sometimes it slides through fairly easy, but most of the time it does not. Once you've done that, you're going to make a knot in the bottom of the line. Now at this stage, I would make a fairly loose knot just so that you can make adjustments later on. You can just kind of do a fairly loose knot and kind of put it back into the bottom of the handle. You can see it sticks out quite a bit right now, but that's not a big deal. Before we make any adjustments, we'll head back down to the bottom of the line where it connects to the chicken loop, and we'll set that in. So like we said before, you don't want that to be too tight when you're trying to actually place that plastic piece in the top of the chicken loop or the swivel for the chicken loop. So just kind of keep it loose, keep the rope tight to the sides of the plastic piece, but loose at the bottom. You'll pull the safety line through so that it's tight. And you can see that there's only one way for this to go back in. It kind of just fits back. There's a little piece that fits in. And if everything's kind of put the way it should be, it should slide in fairly easily. You just apply a little bit of pressure to the top. And then once that's done, you can take that U joint piece and slide it back in. It most likely won't slide back in very easily, so it's best to just put it back in the vise the same way we did before. and just use a rubber mallet or a hammer. Just very lightly tap it back in. Make sure you don't do any damage to the parts. And if it's not going in easily, then don't force it in. See, maybe there's something in the way. You can see in this case it's not quite all the way in, but you want to make sure it's all the way down. So just a couple more taps with a hammer or mallet and it'd be all the way. The last step will be to tape off the end of that depower line once you've made any adjustments and you're happy with it. Tape it and then cut it off, and that'll be pretty much it. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. It's 866-210-8892 or info@atboardsports.com. You can also check us out online at www.atboardsports.com. Thanks for watching.